A Sacrifice to the Sea, written and narrated by S.H. Cooper. The sea is a woman. Some might disagree, argue that it is ruled by Poseidon, Njord, any number of gods, that it is a man's domain. But those on a small island in the North Atlantic know better. It appears on no maps and welcomes few visitors to its black-rocked shores. Miles of jagged cliff face stand against the relentless, crashing surf, and among the skeletal birchwoods that grow atop them, the village. Time does not exist there, nor seasons, and rarely sun. Those who call it home recognize only one mistress. It is cold, and it is dark, and it is hers. Her name is lost, or perhaps it was never meant for humans to know. Her form is untenable. It is water. It is salt, foam, spray. It is invisible undercurrents and roaring waves. She is still glass, and she is churning storm. She doles out life and death in equal measure, as compassionate as she is cruel. Few understand her whims as well as her islanders. Her winds toughen their skin. Her demands callous their hands. To live is to worship, and they all answer her call. She keeps most outsiders far from her chosen, pushing their ships away and around, keeping her people isolated, safe. Hers. But even a goddess must sleep. Once a year, when the nights are never ending, the sea quiets into perfect stillness, its surface the moon's mirror, and they know she slumbers, and they know they will come. They always do. Wreaths of dried seaweed and shells decorate their hair. They light torches along the shoreline, a beacon across the black waters. Her people dress in linens dyed with thorned berries and blood. They wear their bracelets of bone and teeth. A bonfire is lit upon the beach, and soon the smell of shark and whale mingles with smoke. Their songs carry through the midnight air, boisterous and inviting. And invite they do. There shouldn't be an island there, the nearby ship crew will murmur, but they cannot deny the flickering light and tantalizing scent of a cooking feast. Wary at first, but curious, the captain will order them to circle, and circle, and circle, ever closer, until they can see the merrymakers dancing around their fire and hear their singing. They'll strain their ears, almost understanding the words, or believing they do, and they will pull up their oars and bring in their sails, and they will drift towards these strangers who look like them, who almost sound like them, until their hull scrapes across stone, and they come to a lurching halt, run aground by their own fascination. There shouldn't be an island here. There shouldn't be people here. But it is, and they are, and the crew is met with waving hands and welcoming smiles. They will discuss. There will be doubt. It will be overruled, and they will descend, and they will join her people in their revelry. Even now, beside them, amongst them, they can't quite catch their words, though they are on the edge of familiar. But they are spoken loudly and warmly, and the sailors grow at ease. This is a discovery. Something to bring home. To report back to far-off kings. To be conquered? Perhaps. But that is not for tonight. This night, when the fire dances, and the women dance, and their pungent, strong drink flows. They eat until their bellies bulge, and then pick their teeth with the fish bones scattered at their feet. They tip their head back, letting dark liquid spill down their beards and across their chests. They do not notice right away, when first the children drift to the edge of the firelight and stand in silence, their eyes turned to the still sea. They do not notice when the men join them, their features crossed with shadow. They only notice when the women move away, toward the water, and clasp hands. They watch with drunken grins, bleary gazes following these primitive women striding out to their waists until their skirts and hair flow around them. They only notice when the song changes. When the notes are no longer leaping and colored with laughter. Now they are low and rolling, ripples growing into waves. The crewmen look to one another, then to the children and men circled at their backs. Is this part of the ceremony, they will wonder? And it is. As the women raise their voices into a keen, the black ocean surface before them bubbles and breaks. Their song is returned from the depths, but by what the sailors don't know. They begin to stand, their mirth tempered by a trickling fear. Something is wrong. The sea's icy song is wrong. There shouldn't be an island here. There shouldn't be people here. They shouldn't be here. But the women stand between them and their ship. Perhaps they could fight through them. The men make no move to subdue them, even when the sailors take cautious steps towards the water, emboldening them. They can get out of this. They've gotten out of worse. The women have parted in front of them, half to one side, half to the other, and all they have to do is wade out to their waiting ship. The captain is the first to see it might not be so simple, that something is swimming toward shore. Some things. The water froths, and he holds up a hand, trying to stop his men from venturing further, but fear has gripped them, and they see only the waiting rope ladder strung down the port side. Tantalizingly close, tantalizingly safe. The first doesn't make a sound when he goes under. He simply disappears, hardly a splash to mark his passing. The second is not so quiet. He yelps, something has grabbed him, but his warning is cut short, turned to a thrashing gurgle as he too is dragged downward. One by one, the captain watches his sailors vanish, and the women watch, and the children, and the men, until the only crew member left at all is the captain. And then they are all watching him. He could run, he thinks, hide somewhere until he can come up with a real escape plan. It is all he has time for, that singular, desperate thought. The hands that slither up from the dark water are mottled and pale. They close around the shore stones, webbed fingers digging deep, and haul the rest of itself from the sea. The women bow their heads. The men look away entirely. The captain screams. The creature that draws itself up is partially woman, her naked breasts drooping and dripping, a net of dark hair clinging to her skull and back. But the eyes are wide and bulbous, as pale as her skin save for the pinpricks of black at their center. Barnacles fester like lesions across her neck and shoulders. She bares needle teeth at him. Her torso ends in an orange-gold mass of long, writhing jellyfish tentacles, all twitching, searching as she pulls herself toward him. He unsheathes a knife from his belt, horrified but willing to fight, to live. He doesn't notice the second or the third creatures until he feels their sting. They drag him down, enveloping him in their lion's manes, smothering his cries with cold, corpse-like hands. His body is aflame, set alight by every brush of their tentacles. Not even the rush of winter seawater is enough to put it out. The captain burns even as he sinks, pulled into her realm by her untamed daughters. The islanders wait until the surface stills once more before they filter away. The children first, then the men, and finally the women. They will return in the morning to dismantle the ship, keep what supplies they find useful, and sink the rest in her honor. They have provided for her while she sleeps, as she provides for them while awake. A gift of menfolk who believe themselves her conquerors, who put their faith in her offspring, those they've named gods of their mother's domain. A sacrifice to the sea to keep them isolated, safe. Hers.